Okay, now you have a desk sheet. Okay, desk sheet. Now you have in your hands test sheet 4. Okay, we have 3 questions. Okay, we will work on them now. Okay, you have about 5 minutes to answer the 3 questions together. Okay, share information together. It's okay. And after the 6 minutes, we will discuss them. You have 6 minutes to answer them together. 3 questions. All of them, discuss all of them. You have 6 minutes, plenty of time.
غلط دي لا. صعبة. It's 4 o'clock now. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying here. Wonderful session for wonderful Mahmouds. Good job. You're the best.
ده كان جايب 3 ونص. كان جايب 3 ونص.
خلاص تفتح
finished. Have you finished? Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Question number 1. What is learner autonomy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the student's ability to take charge of his own learning.
Great. Any other definitions? Yes.
It's the self-awareness of his abilities. Self-awareness of his abilities. Strengths and weaknesses.
Marvelous. Yes, self-awareness. What else? Self-independence. Excellent. Yes. Self-independent. What else? Any other suggestions? Okay, let's look at this definition. Okay, what is learner autonomy? For a definition of autonomy, we might quote Pollock, the most famous man about this topic, and he's our example. Okay, who describes it as the ability to take charge of one's learning. 5 words. That's why I looked at her. The only person who is educated is the person who has learned how to learn, and the person who has realized that no knowledge is secure, that only the process of seeking knowledge gives a basis for security. I wonder how many people who are educated in Egypt, in our country. He considers that one who is educated is the only one who can take charge of his own learning. I wonder how many of us or of the Egyptians are educated.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
As for the next question, how can learner autonomy be promoted? Inside your class, how can you,
By taking risks in learning, experience different ideas, and takes a task to discover flaws and strengths, and by applying critical thinking strategies.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wonderful. Yeah?
Be a good listener.
Yeah, good lesson. Yeah. What else? Great. What else? Okay, that's fine. You can develop your students' learner autonomy in a number of ways. For example, through introspective self-reports, through retrospective self-reports. So the differences here. Introspective self-reports, assigning a task that have learners report what they are thinking while they are performing it. Retrospective self-reports, learners are asked to think back on their own learning. Diaries will plan group work, will plan project work, portfolios, and using ICT online communication and resources. The last question, what way?
In what way can self-assessment serve learner autonomy? This is the icon of this presentation. The relationship. Yes. Please, raise your hand.
I think it serves as a rubric to measure where the learner is and what's the next step in improving his or her skills. And it sets priorities, and especially if it's leveled, like if its assessment is leveled, it sets priorities on what to work on first and then what's next.
Excellent. We may all think like you, yes, and that's our consideration or our thinking of this topic. But to support it, we need some expert like the most famous man who wrote ever about learner autonomy, which is Holly. If, as Holly suggests, the autonomy is the ability to take charge of one's learning, then self-assessment is a tool which supports those with that ability. This is his own words. I want you please to have 2 minutes to read the rest and to give me the key words that we talked from Holly's quotation. You have a minute and a half. Yes, autonomous learners decide what to learn, when to learn, and how to learn. Self-assessors decide what to assess, when to assess it, and how to assess it. We have some keywords here, stuff from autonomous to materials. The main words, the keywords. Can you please think for a minute and give us the keywords here in this text? Look at the text for a minute. Give us the keywords. Yes?
Monitor.
After them. Okay. Come start. Keywords, please. Keywords.
Like
The most important
individual
word. Yeah.
That can individually monitorize themselves.
What else?
Level of success and feedback.
Level of success. Judgment. Yes.
Learning objectives.
Learning tasks.
Yes. Learning objectives. Okay. Which are achieved by learning. Yes. Divisionally. Yeah. What else?
Self-tailor,
Self-tailored. Yeah.
regime,
Regime. Yeah. What else?
monitor,
Monitoring. Yeah. Okay. Please. If you please.
visualization.
Individualization. Yes. Like you said, I've just said. Okay. If we notice about all that, who does all these? Monitoring, judging, everything. The learner. So self-assessment gives the learner the most important tools for learner autonomy. This is the relationship, people. Okay, let's read them together as a whole. Autonomous learners take responsibility for their learning, and this includes taking responsibility for monitoring their progress. Self-assessment provides an opportunity to self-tailor an assessment regime. So he makes the criteria, or designs the criteria to assess himself, which can parallel a self-tailored study regime. Autonomous learning is about individualization of learning, and self-assessment helps learners monitor their individualized progress, an important aspect of the monitoring process for learners, simply knowing how they are doing in their learning by themselves, not waiting for the teacher to judge my learning. Okay, self-assessments help learners monitor their level of success in specific learning tasks. A series of self-assessments will contribute to monitoring progress towards specific learning objectives. They can also have a motivational effect. Success breeds confidence. If we have a confident learner, you will just monitor that or know that he doesn't need you so much like the one who is so dependent on you. Okay. As well as monitoring language proficiency, self-assessments provide learners with personalized feedback on the effectiveness of their learning strategies, specific learning methods, and learning materials. Okay, now with the last point in our session.
One implication only. We planned actually to give an implication for every skill, writing, speaking, reading, and so on. But due to shortage of time, we are going to have only one implication regarding listening. For example, you can. This is somehow a lesson plan. The first is failure to test your ability to listen to news programs. Now you want to test your students' ability to listen to news programs. How can you use self-assessment to design a lesson plan for such a purpose? Benefit to help you think about your listening ability and what to do next to help you as a student. Okay? Then, before the test, make sure you have access to English language radio or TV. The test itself, how would it be designed? How would you help your student to design a test for himself? The first one is to listen to a news program in English, make notes about the main story. So you will ask your student to listen to a new program in English and make notes about the main story. Then, later, get a newspaper and check how much of the story you have understood. For example, yesterday Sisi decided to go for the elections. So you will ask your student to go and watch a kind of news program about what happened in any channel, and the next day you will ask him to read more about the topic that he had listened to previously. Then newspaper reports are often different from TV or radio reports. Now you are giving them criteria to compare what they have listened to what they are reading. Okay? They are often longer, contain more details, and sometimes disagree about the facts. More?
This is the self-assessment board you use for your student, or just it's a model. Now this is a video for a teacher who is teaching her student how to use this board.
involved in self-assessment and reflection during the teaching process. They develop an understanding of themselves as learners and are able to articulate their strengths and needs. They track their own progress and clearly understand their personal learning goals.
Let's go on over here and let's look back on our conference. So look at our menu of reading strategies. We've got your understanding, your comprehension. We have accuracy, so reading the words correctly. Fluency, that means reading smoothly. And expanding vocabulary. Let's not worry about this one. What do you think you did well today in the conference?
Trying to make sense of what the sentence is trying to say.
Yeah, try to make sense. And I noticed that you were doing a lot of correcting, which is a really big improvement. So you had actually, where had you put your, right there. And I think we've been working on that quite a bit. And now you're starting to cue yourself, which is really great thinking. You're going to continue to do that because that way you can understand what you're reading. Okay. And I think the next step with you, what we're going to work on is, I think we're going to work on making the reading smoother. What do you think? Yeah? Because sometimes when it's a little bit choppy, it's sort of hard to remember what you've read, isn't it? When you're stopping so much. Okay. So we're going to keep doing this, but I think you have a really good hang of it. And we're going to move your name over to here. Okay. And in the next few conferences that we're going to be doing, we're going to work on rereading and making it flow, or make our reading sound like we talk, smooth. Sound good? Okay, so let's fill in your star and wish. So here's what you did well. So self-corrected, and we're going to keep on trying to read more smoothly. Do you remember what we just talked about at the carpet?
Then what and then come back to it.
Okay. So let's talk about what you did really well first. Okay. What do you think you've really improved on? You think this one? Yeah, you're really working on reading the words correctly. Remember, you were doing a lot of skipping of words and of endings, and we worked really hard on that. So that actually become a strength for you. So good job. And now I think this strategy might work for words that are really kind of tough and that you try everything and you still can't get it. We'll try and skip it and then come back to it. So where's your name up here? It's still there. So we're going to leave it under accuracy, but now the goal from last time has become your strength, and we're going to add a new one. So let's update your star and a wish, and then we'll put this in your reading log, so when you're reading by yourself, that's always a reminder of what your goal is, so you can practice it. So although we have whole class learning targets, each student also gets the kind of support that they need. And what we use here is, we call it our menu. It's based on a cafe book by Mauser and Bushi, who wrote the Daily Five. And so at the end of the year, we're trying to get students to synthesize their learning and independently sort of select from the menu the reading strategies they need when they need them. And so what we just did, we had just a very quick reading conference with a few students from the guided reading group. And we identified an area of strength, so a star, and then an area to work on, a wish. And I'll work on that on subsequent individual conferences with the students. And they also have a record of it in their reading log, so they can refer to it as they're practicing independently at the desks or at home. And so this helps me to cluster, to see. Some of them have self-assessed, but we tend to move, although a student might stay in an area for a very long time. And you can see the comprehension is actually increasing. We've done quite a lot of work on that. And one of our big pushes in third term is sort of polishing up our fluency. So a lot of work needs to be done around this. And as we're getting into more difficult tests, we need to sort of start reviewing some of the word solving again. So we do move them based on need, and that helps us to cluster groups. The color coding idea, which is just lifted from the book, helps. It's a visual for students, and I think for me it helps me to cluster areas of need. So if I'm seeing a big area in one area, then that would be a good reason for a large group lesson, as opposed to one name would mean it would be an individual target or an individual conference.
Switch. Okay, so that's all about the relationship between self-assessment and learner autonomy. At the end or below every test sheet you have a link here. If you follow this, you will get the handouts and all the resources and the references of this topic. It's on MediaFire and it's very easy. So thank you all for being here.